This is Wilko, rock and roll rowdy. We've talked about LA. Let's bring in New York City. New York, I arrived January 15, which will be 47 years next week, with the Average White Band. And I remember the band just laughing. I was in the parking lot of JFK, screaming at the top of my voice, I'm in America, I'm in New York. This is brilliant. And it was also the coldest fucking winter in American history, in New York history anyway. So off we went to the Mayflower Hotel, which was the biggest eye-opener in my life. I mean, that hotel was just classic.
Yeah.
It was brilliant, you know. Okay, we're going to go to Atlantic Studios. We're going to meet everybody. And Average White Band had just turned #1 in the world with Pick Up the Pieces album and the single. So I walk into Atlantic Records to meet Arif Mardin and Tunch and all the guys, and just blown away. There's Aretha Franklin, just sitting, having a cup of tea with Aretha Franklin. It was just like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then, of course, people who do know music, Luther Vandross in those days was the actual Atlantic's backup singer. He would do all the backup vocals for a lot of different people, and just one of the sweetest guys you could ever meet, you know. And him going solo was the best thing ever. I mean, his music was to die for. So, you know, what do we do in New York City apart from the hotel? The bottom line. I think I sent you a letter, Granny. When I walked in, I walked into the bottom line and I was like, I'm screaming and shouting. And Jeff Beck walked in, saw me at the bar, and he just looked at me and he went, nah, enough of your shit. And that was in my letter I sent you.
Yeah.
He just did a U-turn and walked right out. Fuck you, Wilkie.
We used to torment him in the ship. I used to carry a train book with me, and I'd know all the train names and numbers. And I said, go on, Jeff, pick a number. I'll tell you the name of the engine. I think he just thought, like, just keep this maniac, just keep him happy. It'll all work out. He goes, 60134, Fox Hunter. He'd be like, okay, give me another one, Jeff, give me another one.
You know,
60019, Britain.
where I lived in London, Jeff, I lived there for 30 years. Jeff Beck was born and raised in the street next to me. You know, at the end of my street, that's where he was. You know,
Wallingford.
Wallington.
Wallington.
Wallington. You know, but going to New York, first time I went to Atlantic, and Aretha was in the building, and Donny Hathaway. We met Donny Hathaway.
Oh,
that was
classic.
You know, that live album, Donny Hathaway Live. You probably remember that, Mark.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, that great album.
Yeah. Just fantastic album. You know. What a great musician and songwriter he was. Shame that he decided to end the way he did. You know. But that was just like, wow. And then that night we went to that Steve Stills reception. And this was me, first time in New York, you know, wet behind the ears. You know, and there's Aretha Franklin and Donny Hathaway and Stephen Stills' wedding reception. Hugest bag of cocaine and this girl that wants to mother me.
Oh.
Shall we say?
Well, that was New York, wasn't it? Everything you heard about New York is true.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours, it's open, you can always get anything you want. That's one of the dangers.
Yeah.
But my first visit to New York, I had my head full of things that you'd told me on your visits about all the guns and the exciting police stuff. People would say, don't run in the streets of New York. The cops will just shoot you to find out what's going on. So I don't know whether that's true or not. But I had my head full of all this. And so I was in the States for about 10 days before I came to New York. And we had to drive down with our little truck from the north and from Connecticut. And you had to come over the Triborough Bridge. And you couldn't take the quick way into town. You had to come down through East Harlem.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen these scenes in the summertime, kids playing with the water, the fountains, the hydrants, and at the time they were building the subway, so it was full of steel plates, so the truck was bouncing, and we were, where the hell are we? And we'd heard so many things about New York being like dangerous and this, that, and the other, that we drew straws at who would make a phone call to find out where we had to go. We were doing a gig in Central Park, and so we drew straws, and I drew the short straw. So we kind of worked out a whole concept, like we'll pull the van over, I'll get out, you lock the door in case anybody tries to get in and murder you. And just keep an eye on me, and I'll kind of risk making the phone call. I thought everybody was packing heat and carrying hatchets, and I thought we were going to get stabbed to death immediately, because there was nothing like that. We get down to the gig in Central Park, open air gig, Central Park South, right there, fantastic setting. But my mind was full of all of this crazy New York stuff. But we made it, and we had a fabulous time till after the gig. And when it was dark, we were trying to get out, and all these weirdos were hanging around the park, trying to give us drugs and joints and
Yeah, of course. You
make us
didn't
drink
want
all this
it.
cheap wine.
Yeah.
We didn't want it.
I used to love driving at night in New York, because if you turned it right on the lights, they'd all
Yeah.
change green as you're going down the road. You get the time of, and you could fucking hit it and go through the Pan Am. You go through the Pan Am building, and
Which was great.
Yeah.
it was
You'd
great.
leave Ashley's and drive back to the hotel on green lights.
Yeah. But the roads were, you'd be bouncing like fuck, sort of like hitting the bottoming out, and
I remember one winter, I stayed the whole winter with the Average White Band, and I was hanging out with this woman, a studio engineer, a female, and I was hanging out with her, and we would do the evening business, and then I would ski. Remember, it was a lot of snow. Remember skiing down Fifth Avenue, going down. It was downhill from like 50th Street. Maybe skiing part of the way, or at least slaloming on something. There was so much snow. That was a mind blowing thing. All that snow in New York, everything came to a halt. But people were skiing. We were kind of, I think we had some skis. That was something else. Remember another one? You and me and Mal, we picked up Wishbone's gear from the airport in a truck, a Ryder truck, going out to Connecticut, and we somehow ended up on Amsterdam Avenue,
Oh, yeah.
which is on the
It
west
was
side of
you,
Manhattan.
yeah.
And we were driving, and back then I smoked a little bit, but I could never handle it. And we were driving the truck, and all of a sudden we broke out laughing because we were going at about 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We were stopped. A big Ryder truck and we suddenly realized, hey man,
Exactly.
get out of here. We're in the wrong part of town.
Yeah, we realised where we were and just thought, how do we get out of here now?
pretty dodgy part of town, Amsterdam.
Yeah.
New York.
Well, back then, in the early 70s, Mark, it was really funky,
It was well fun. Once you got down below 14th Street, it got really fucking down CBGB's way and down all that side of town.
It was sort of industrial down there. It was weird. Warehouses.
Well,
Slaughterhouses.
2 weeks after, 2 weeks I was in town, the AWBs shipped us all to Southampton, Long Island, to like a 10-bedroom mansion, and that's where we did all the basics for Cut the Cake. So we was snowed in fucking Long Island for about a week and a half, and we had to go back into town to pick up some more equipment. So yeah, that's when we found out we number one. Jack Cunningham and I went back to Atlantic Studios. Big Mac was like, where have you guys been? And we weren't supposed to tell anybody. We're actually at Ahmet Erdogan's house in Southampton. And I'm like, why? What's the problem? He goes, you're number one. And we're like, because all the phones were down, all the electric cables were down. I'm like, no, I didn't know that. So the time we got back, of course, I have a photograph which I'll put on Rock and Roll Rowdies. Everybody was banning their T-shirts for whatever reason. But the whole house was all effed up. Bruce Picasco, Clark Russell was there, Big Bill, all of Bruce's buddies, And we're like ran in all excited. Hey, we're number one. We're like, yeah, we just found out an hour ago.